We all have bad days, and like us, not every celebrity's a contender for Mr. or Ms. Congeniality. Let's all gasp and wonder at some remarkably rude celebrity interactions served cold by a jury of their peers. Jon Stewart hosted The Daily Show for 16 years, during which he was able to handle everything thrown at him, except for one unbearable celeb who was banned from the studio, actor Hugh Grant. In 2012, Stewart revealed to fellow late-night host and bestie Stephen Colbert that while The Daily Show's guests have sometimes included both real and fictional dictators, Grant was the worst of the worst, recalling, "He's giving everyone the whole time, and he's a big pain in the ass." In an appearance to promote his film Did You Hear About the Morgans, the movie star griped about the clip chosen to run on the show, asking, "What is that clip? It's a terrible clip," Grant asked angrily, to which Stewart shot back, "Well, then make a better movie." Mike Myers is a comedy icon, having starred in comedy classics like the Austin Powers and Shrek movies. But not everyone's on-set experience with Myers has been positive. In fact, Amy Hill, who worked with Myers on 2003's The Cat in the Hat, described her time with him during the 2016 interview with the AV Club, saying, "It was just a horrible, nightmarish experience. I don't think he got to know anybody. He'd just be with his people and walk away. People would come and then he'd stand there. There was a guy who held his chocolates in a little Tupperware. Whenever he needed chocolate, he'd come running over and give him a chocolate." Hill concluded by saying, "That's what divas are like, I guess. Or people who need therapy." Pete Davidson is no stranger to celebrity feuds, but his beef with former Saturday Night Live star Chevy Chase was completely unprovoked.
Good evening. I'm God, and here's the news.
Apparently, Chase wasn't a fan of the show's 2018 cast. He told The Washington Post, "I had to watch a little of it and I just couldn't believe it. That means a whole generation of heads laughs at the worst humor in the world." Davidson didn't take kindly to the remarks. He told Howard Stern, "He's a douchebag, Chevy Chase. I hate that dude. He's just a genuinely bad, racist person and I don't like him. He's a putz. I don't like him."
How's it going with the others?
Well, I don't know, really. I don't pay much attention to them.
Chase has long been accused of controversial behavior on set. His former Community co-star Donald Glover was allegedly the target of Chase's racist jokes, according to show creator Dan Harmon. For his part, Glover told The New Yorker, "I just saw Chevy as fighting time. A true artist has to be okay with his reign being over, but I know there's a human in there somewhere." Plenty of celebrities have been accused of diva behavior, and some have even owned it. But few have been called a diva as often as Mariah Carey. Just ask Demi Lovato. Back in 2016, the former Disney Channel star made her feelings about Carey perfectly clear in a since-deleted Instagram post. "The woman is mean for no reason. Extremely talented? Yes. Superhuman? Possibly. Unnecessarily rude? Absolutely." Lovato's comments came on the heels of another since-deleted post of Carey's in which the Always Be My Baby hitmaker dissed Ariana Grande, as well as Carey's infamous I don't know her comments regarding Jennifer Lopez.
She says you know her.
Okay, I know she, you know what, I'm very forgetful.
Okay.
When asked by Andy Cohen what she would say to Lovato, Carey replied,
I don't know her either.
We imagine Lopez, Lovato, and Carey won't be getting together anytime soon, but whatever distaste Carey did or didn't have for Grande must have dissipated. In 2020, the two, along with Jennifer Hudson, collaborated on Carey's Christmas track Oh Santa, with Grande even joining Carey at the end to harmonize with the latter's signature whistle tone runs. It's often said that you should never meet your heroes. After working with musical icon Mariah Carey, Nicki Minaj would probably agree. In 2010, when Minaj's music career was just taking off, she and Carey collaborated on Up Out My Face. Afterward, the rapper told MTV News, "When I met her, she was so funny and silly. I thought when I was gonna work with Mariah, she was gonna be like this diva, but we were cracking jokes the whole day. She's a sweet, down-to-earth person." But Minaj's opinion did a 180 when the pair reunited in 2012 as American Idol judges.
Three of us are sisters, and we won't let her go to the ball.
In a video released by TMZ, the super bass rapper is heard saying, "I told them I'm not putting up with her highness over there." Carey, of course, was the royal in question. Minaj also vague tweeted about the singer, "All I do is compliment you. That's not enough? You're a legend, cheer up. You don't have to run down your resume or feel intimidated. Shady McGrady."
I didn't know she sang, I thought she rapped or whatever.
Carey has been less vocal about their feud, but during a 2015 interview on the Kyle and Jackie O show, she said of her time on The Idol, "That was the worst experience of my life. I don't think they had any intentions for us to have a good experience doing that show. Pitting two females against each other wasn't cool. Even over a decade later, we don't foresee this duo collaborating again." Leah Remini and Tom Cruise are both known for their affiliation with the Church of Scientology, but that's where their similarities end. Remini's made it her mission to expose the abuse and trauma she and others have allegedly suffered at the hands of the church, while Cruise remains a committed member.
You're fighting to save an ideal that doesn't exist. Never did.
While filming Mission Impossible 7 in December 2020, Cruise was recorded yelling at crew members over violation of COVID-19 safety protocols. Public response was mixed, but Remini alleged in the underground bunker that Cruise's words were a charade, writing, "Tom does not believe in illness. Tom's reaction that was released yesterday shows his true personality. He is an abusive person. I witnessed it. I've been a recipient of it on a small level, and I've been told of similar abuse by his former girlfriend, his employees, and his friends. This is the real Tom." Cruise defended himself in an interview with Empire magazine, saying, "I said what I said. There was a lot at stake at that point. All those emotions were going through my mind. I was thinking about the people I work with and my industry." Carnie Wilson of the group Wilson Phillips had a horrific experience on Howard Stern's radio show back in 1999. She opened up about it on The Talk in 2017, saying, "When I walked in, the producer Gary said, 'Step over here and wait for Howard.' Well, I didn't know this, but I was stepping on a scale. And I looked up and in red big numbers, 233 pounds showed up on this thing. I said, wait a minute, and I looked down and all I could think was, Howard ready to shame me? They purposely did it." Stern said to Wilson's husband, musician Rob Bonfiglio, "There's something wrong here. No guy's going to go out with a broad who looks like this." To make matters even worse, Wilson's appearance on Howard Stern was shortly after she had gastric bypass surgery for the first time. The singer, who has struggled with her weight for much of her life, later underwent a second procedure in 2012. As Wilson recalled of Stern, "It's like a joke to him, but it wasn't to me. It was one of the worst experiences I ever had. I was so devastated and so embarrassed. Humiliated, really." Bill Maher has been interviewing celebrities on Real Time with Bill Maher since 2003, and he's made more than a few enemies in the process. Anthony Bourdain appeared on the show as a member of a panel in 2011, sharing his thoughts on food and sex.
We both like beer and we both like barbecue, or I do anyway.
Yeah, I mean, that's setting the bar really low on having things in common.
Before his tragic death on June 2018, Bourdain shared with Reason his opinion of Maher, saying, "Insufferably smug, really the worst of the smug self-congratulatory left. I have a low opinion of him. I did not have an enjoyable experience on his show. Not a show I plan to do again. He's a classic example of the smirking, contemptuous, privileged guy who lives in a bubble. And he is in no way looking to reach outside or even look outside of that bubble in an empathetic way." Maher must not have been too perturbed by the comments as he didn't respond, but the comic did crack a joke at Bourdain's expense just weeks after his death by suicide. While reading a fake headline, Maher said, "Comet destroys Asia, white people on Facebook still talking about Anthony Bourdain." Oscar winner Tommy Lee Jones is no fan of Jim Carrey. The two worked together on Batman Forever back in the 90s, and Jones didn't mince words when it came to his lack of fondness for his comedic co-star after Carrey spotted him having dinner at the same restaurant. In an appearance on Norm Macdonald Live, Carrey recalled, "I went over and I said, 'Hey Tommy, how are you doing?' And the blood just drained from his face, and he started shaking. He got up and he went like this. He must have been in mid-kill me fantasy or something like that, and he went like to hug me and he said, 'I hate you. I really don't like you.' And I said, 'What's the problem?' And I pulled up a chair, which probably wasn't smart, and he said, 'I cannot sanction your buffoonery.' Carrey kept a mostly good attitude about the incident, surmising, 'I was the star, and that was the problem. He's a phenomenal actor, though. I still love him.' Rosie Perez and Jennifer Lopez worked together on In Living Color in the early 90s. Perez was a choreographer for the sketch comedy show and even fought for Lopez, who appeared in over 60 episodes to get her big break as a fly girl.
We have a new fly girl coming all the way from Bronx, New York, Miss Jennifer Lopez.
In her 2014 memoir, Handbook for an Unpredictable Life, however, Perez claimed that J-Lo's on-set behavior was inappropriate, writing, "All of the girls were coming into my office complaining how she was manipulating wardrobe, makeup, and me all to her advantage." Perez claimed that when she addressed the issue with Lopez, she responded like, "Some ghetto screaming and pounding her chest." Their feud heated up following Lopez's exit from the show, with Perez accusing her of acting friendly despite dissing her behind her back and then ghosting her. Perez wrote, "I was blindsided. I thought we were cool. I called her up, she wouldn't pick up." Of seeing Lopez at a club shortly after, Perez recalled, "I should have let it go, played it off too. Instead, I killed her with my biting tongue." On the positive side, it seems that Perez actually holds no ill will toward Lopez these days. In 2016, she told CNN, "I don't hate Jennifer Lopez. I have great respect for her. Yes, we had a tiff and it was 20 years ago and I write it in my book. I've moved on and I'm sure she has also."
At first glance, you'd probably never think Pierce Brosnan could be rude. Between his sultry voice and dashing looks, the Irish actor won our hearts as James Bond in the late 90s. However, funny man James Corden might beg to differ with this glowing reputation.
No hard feelings, Mr. Bond.
In a headline-making segment of Spill Your Guts or Fill Your Guts on The Late Late Show in 2017, guest Khloe Kardashian asked Corden about the rudest celeb he's ever met. He reluctantly revealed,
Pierce Brosnan.
The late-night star went on to claim,
I went to see U2, and Pierce Brosnan was with some friends here, and they left like halfway through the gig.
After the space had been vacant for a while, Corden and his wife moved to Brosnan's spot, apparently right before the actor returned.
This arm went on here and just pushed me out the way. And I was looking at him like that, and he didn't even glance at me. He just moved back into his area.
We never thought the actor best known as 007 could allegedly be this harsh in real life. But after Khloe offered the possibility that Brosnan was drunk at the time, Corden quipped,
"Maybe he's just a bit rude."
Gene Simmons may look scary with all the makeup he wears for Kiss, but nobody would have thought he'd be rude to the elderly. It all started when Modern Family's Eric Stonestreet shared a series of texts from his mom Jamie on Instagram in 2014. At the time, she jokingly texted, "I think Gene Simmons is on my flight. Do you think I should go give him a kiss?" To which her famous son quipped, quote, "Yes," with tongue. However, it wasn't long until Stonestreet publicly put Simmons and bandmate Paul Stanley on blast. The actor claimed via Twitter, "Gene tried to bully my mom out of her seat, and when she said no, he said, 'It's okay, I just bought the plane,' and then asked her for her autograph. I can't wait to run into you two old-ass makeup-wearing f***s and tell you in person. You should have been nicer to my mom."
Oh, that was good.
Simmons denied the entire situation in a series of since-deleted tweets, which included the message, quote, "Look, I have a mother too." Meanwhile, Stanley squashed the beef by apologizing to the mother-son duo. As for Stonestreet, he thanked Stanley and added, "I will tape my glow-in-the-dark Kiss posters back together." Rumors surrounding Ariana Grande's alleged diva behavior have been swirling for years. The pint-sized crooner even combated the claims in a 2014 appearance on the Australian radio show Mike E and Emma, saying,
"That's not real, that's nonsense. My fans know who I am, my family knows who I am, my friends know who I am, and that's all that matters."
But there was someone who disagreed with Grande's claim. E! News correspondent Juliana Rancic. She revealed, "I think she does have a little bit of a diva thing going on. I remember, I think it was at the AMAs. She came up on the platform and normally I stand on her left side to the camera. I had to fight 13 years to get this side to the camera. It's my good side, but I fought 13 years for this, okay? Little Ariana comes over, I feel like Bing, elbow in my side, I'm like, what's going on? And they push me to the other side." While the thought of the two stars fighting for their good side may sound hilarious, we aren't surprised Grande won this round. Christina Aguilera has built quite the reputation for not being the friendliest person among Hollywood's elite. And one celeb this pop star apparently rubbed the wrong way was actress Valerie Bertinelli. Andy Cohen asked Bertinelli to dish the dirt on what went on between the two stars during a 2014 episode of Watch What Happens Live. While the actress clarified that she and Aguilera didn't have an all-out feud, the singer did apparently snub Bertinelli at one of her ex-husband Eddie Van Halen's concerts. She claimed,
"I was a fan at that time, a long time ago, and I went up to her because she was at a Van Halen concert. I said, 'Oh my God, I think you're a beautiful singer, blah, blah, blah.'"
But Christina wasn't having it.
She just like went, "Yeah, whatever." She gave me the cold shoulder, and I thought, "Bitch, I'm a fan. You can't be nice to me."
After Cohen asked Bertinelli if she'd seen Aguilera since, the actress replied,
"I have not. No, but you know what? She might have gotten better, but I heard she hasn't."
You probably shouldn't bother someone while they're in the middle of an intense workout sesh. But that's exactly what Sister Sister alum Tia Mowry decided to do to Charlize Theron during one particular SoulCycle class in 2014.
"Hey. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you, you piece of shit. I'm gonna kick your ass."
Mowry told In Touch, "She wasn't very nice to me. I said, 'Hi,' and she actually rolled her eyes and said, 'Oh my God.' I wasn't over the top. I know how to approach another celebrity." Andy Cohen later decided to rehash the goss with Theron herself on an episode of Watch What Happens Live. Theron joked,
"Do you know who this is? What?"
No, I heard this story. Did she really say it? Like, was it just written?
Once Cohen explained that the tale originated in a tabloid, Theron replied,
"Oh, well, you can't go by that,
She said it.
right?
No, but apparently she is
I'm
quoted
really
as saying-
nice at SoulCycle, actually, because once my endorphins kick in, I'm actually really, like, I'm almost too friendly."
Ready to get to the bottom of this rumored feud, E! News caught up with Mowry, who finally cleared the air in 2017, saying,
It was all blown out of proportion. I respect her. I think she's amazing.
Aussie radio host Em Rusciano has probably had her fair share of run-ins with rude celebrities.
You have to appeal to everyone, and as we know, as you said, I am polarizing.
But she had no trouble narrowing down the rudest star she'd ever met. Answering a fan question about it, she replied on Instagram, quote, "Easy, lead singer of Snow Patrol." Her story about an interview she and her co-host conducted with Gary Lightbody made this piece of celeb gossip that much more amusing, Rusciano explained. "We went to interview the band, and they had that one big song on Grey's Anatomy, Chasing Cars. We got told, don't ask him about it because he gets angry, but we did because that's all anyone cared about." She claimed Lightbody sat through the rest of the interview with his middle finger raised in protest. Perhaps we can chalk up the entire sitch to the singer having an off day, considering he gushed about the iconic track to BBC News years after this interview, claiming, "I still have a really deep relationship to that song. It's a beautiful moment every time you play it." Kathy Griffin is no stranger to speaking her mind, and the comedy veteran has often been called out over her sometimes blunt portrayal of fellow celebs, she told Salon in 2018.
"I tell the real stuff, and there's some serious parts, like, the death threats, very intense."
Nevertheless, this hasn't stopped Griffin from dishing all her hot celeb secrets in her book, Kathy Griffin's Celebrity Run-Ins. And one star she couldn't say anything positive about? Actor Jon Hamm. Griffin wrote of an ill-fated dinner party in 2016, "You'll never convince me to like Jon Hamm. Hammy showed up, he even said to me, 'What are you doing here?' I said, 'What are you doing here?' She explained that while talking to Jack Nicholson later on, an intoxicated Hamm reportedly whispered in her ear saying, 'First it was, your Emmy isn't a real Emmy.' Then he whispered, 'You're so old.'" Considering the fact that Hamm previously told GQ that his popular Mad Men character Don Draper is a bad dude that he, quote, lives with every day, perhaps Hamm was taking one too many pointers from his on-screen alter ego.
You're never going to please everybody, that's for sure.
Michael Jordan is considered the GOAT in the history of the NBA. Unfortunately, it seems the legendary player's intensity on the court has spilled off of it as well, which fan and rapper Chamillionaire discovered following an alleged incident with the basketball giant in 2009. The rapper claimed via Upstream,
"I had saw Michael Jordan taking pictures with girls. I was just like, man, this is just that one moment. I'm going to ask Mike for a picture."
He continued,
"And I kind of expected him to say no. So I wasn't mad if he said no. But the way he said it, he said, 'Oh, hell nah, man. I ain't taking no pictures with no niggas.'"
Yikes. The story obviously picked up steam at the time, even on ESPN, which noted, "There's also widespread support for the idea that Jordan is no saint. We can't help but wonder if the public perception of Jordan is shifting." As for number 23 himself, Jordan seemingly decided to prove Chamillionaire's claims wrong, as years later, he was seen posing with rap artist 2 Chainz in an Instagram snap. If you're an A-list celeb, you should probably avoid being rude to an up-and-comer. Cue then 13-year-old Haley Steinfeld, who was heading home after an audition in late 2009 and tried to talk to Lea Michele.
I feel like I will live through these certain experiences and be like, okay, never again.
Steinfeld told J14, "When I was auditioning for True Grit, I was on the Paramount lot. Glee also films on the lot, and I love that show. I saw Lea Michele just walking to her trailer, so I walked up to her and asked for her autograph. But she walked by and a guy came and said, 'Sorry, now's not a good time.' I was so sad. I was practically crying on the way home." Michelle later told Gossip Cop, "I heard Haley was upset and I feel terrible. The Glee schedule is so jam-packed that the PA probably pulled me so that I wouldn't be late to set. I never meant to hurt her feelings. She's an extraordinary talent and I look forward to meeting her one day." And squash the beef she did, as the two actresses met once again at the 2011 SAG Awards, where Michelle took the time to pose for a photo with Steinfeld. Jennifer Lawrence has been considered by many to be Hollywood's quirky it girl for years. She's the one who always speaks her mind, tends to fall in public, and is just generally viewed as super relatable by her fans.
Now I realize I've made the biggest mistake of my entire life.
But is this Oscar winner starting to take her fame for granted? Lawrence sat down with Adam Sandler in 2017 for Variety's Actors on Actors series, where the duo discussed the negative aspects of fans who don't respect their personal space. The actress dished,
"Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge asshole.
You get icy?
And that's kind of like my only way of defending myself."
She added,
I'll like see somebody walking towards my table and just go, or like, "Can I have a selfie?" And I'm like, "No."
While Sandler awkwardly laughed at the remark, he then tried offering up his own 2 cents to the young starlet.
I don't shut him down.
He says he had a strategy that works when fans his age want to take a selfie.
They go, "Hey, Adam, can I get a picture?" And I always say, "Yeah, you don't want that, man." And the guy goes, "What?" And I go, "You don't want that." And he's like, yeah, I don't.
Nevertheless, the damage was seemingly already done. As of mid-2019, the YouTube video has 3,600 likes, but also holds a whopping 9,800 dislikes. Looks like some fans were rubbed the wrong way.